Yo, Still Bills, what's the deal, man? I just ordered the White and Fury pay-per-view, man. I'm watching David Adelaide in there, with Chris Healy right now, man. And Adelaide's good. Adelaide's looking good, man. He's sharp, he's looking sharp. But peep game, man. I didn't get to give my breakdown, my personal prediction of what's going to transpire for the main event of this card. So I want to do that now. First off, I was hearing rumors that Tyson Fury was looking around about the same size that he was when he fought Wilder in the trilogy. And I waited till after I made a video, but I intentionally waited until after the weigh-in. Ooh, good jab. I intentionally waited till after the weigh-in so I could see their weight. And ooh, good shit. David is looking sharp in here. But he came in 260, Tyson Fury, and I think that's possibly the best weight that he operates at, because it gives him a really good element of being. It gives him the element of being light enough. Ooh, good shit! It gives him the element of being light enough on his feet to where he can tap dance from the outside and use his lateral movement and work off of his straight shots. But it also leaves him heavy enough to where he can stand his ground in the clinch and get the proper leverage on the shot, and not just get the proper leverage on the shot, but have the weight behind the shots at 260 to earn Dillian Whyte's respect and smother him and kind of wrestle around with him and everything. And Dillian Whyte coming in at 250, and he looks about the same. You know, he looks his He doesn't look as soft around the midsection. He looked about the weight that he was when he went into the Povetkin rematch. And I think that's the type of Dillian Whyte that the best. I think that's the best Dillian Whyte right there, personally, man. He's not as heavy, and he can close distance a lot. He is countering the shit out of this dude. David is looking smooth, but he can step in behind. You know, it gives him enough bounce in his toes to where he can step in heavy, but step in deep behind that jab and set up that left hook to the body and up top. But from what I'm hearing about Tyson Fury, man, I'm hearing that he's hitting the mid southpaw and that he's shadow boxing southpaw. That's going to be a factor in the fight, man, because I think it's more upside in Tyson Fury's arsenal than it is with Dillian Whyte for the ability to fight inside out, for the ability to switch hit, for the ability to use lateral movement. He has all of that, and he has all of that at his disposal. When Dillian Whyte Dillian Whyte doesn't have that, that vast repertoire of skill set to bring to this fight. So, I went back and looked up footage of the fighters that they fought the fighters that they fought that present similarities to the fighters that they're going to be in front of today. So I went back and I watched the Otto Wallin versus Tyson Fury fight, even though Wallin isn't the I had to mute that because it was kind of losing my train of thought. But Whyte isn't the pressure fight, the prototypical pressure fighter that Dillian Whyte is. But in that fight, he had to be to close the distance, because he can't be who he is in front of a Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is he's just the better fighter. And I went back and I looked up the Robert Helenius versus Dillian Whyte fight because of the height disparity. Now, it's contradictions in both that, not contradictions, but there's glaring similarities between those two fights. But it's as mirror as you're gonna get. You're never gonna be able to completely replicate whoever it is you're gonna be standing in front of on fight night. But the goal is to get as close to that goal as possible. So when you look at the Dillian Whyte fight with Helenius, man, you seen the jab in spots. It wasn't alarming or anything like that, but it was just, because Robert Helenius he's just not as good as Tyson Fury. It leaves you saying, with him timing, him coming in with the jab and him countering effectively, because Dillian would launch to the body. Now, he beat the shit out of Robert Helenius. We're not going to sit here and act like he didn't. But you cleaning that room, dude? What you doing with that ball? Just leave it in your room. Just leave it in your room. Leave it in your room. Put it in your closet. Just put it in your closet. But with Robert Helenius countering him the way that he was countering him, over the, throwing the hooks up top and the uppercuts whenever Dillian would tap the body, it wasn't enough to deter him, but it was enough to say, yo, what if that was Tyson Fury in there? You dig? Because it's not going to happen so far in between of when it actually, good jab, when it actually happened with those two. Now, Dillian Whyte was able to, my bad. Dillian Whyte was able to close distance at will and trap him on the rope and go to the body really, really effectively, man. But one thing that I did, he did become a little predictable when he was never really able to land that home run that he wanted to land, because that right hand, he just couldn't set it up properly to where it would be impactful enough to off his head. But he dominated the fight. He landed the left hook to the body beautifully. He did it the entire fight. He deboed that man all around the ring from round 1 to 12. So, but there were certain things in that fight that I saw from Robert Helenius that made me go, if that's Tyson Fury, it's going to be problematic. But he closed the gap. He really utilized the jab real well, and it forced him to the rope. It forced him on his back foot the entire fight. So you have to look at that and say, yo, that was, good work on behalf of Dillian Whyte. God damn, he is landing this uppercut at will. Kind of beautifully, man. Good shit, David. So, yeah, he clearly dominated that fight. It wasn't a debate on who won that fight. But like I said, it's just the things that I was able to see Helenius have success in is going to be amplified when you look at when you're standing in front of the likes of a Tyson Fury, who's a far sharper counterpuncher. He's longer, he's more agile on his feet, and he can maintain distance a whole hell of a lot better. You're not going to be able to back him up and force him to the rope that easily as Dillian Whyte was able to do it. Now, when you look at Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin, I think Otto Wallin is the better fundamentally sound boxer than Dillian Whyte. Even though Dillian Whyte, he has the better feet than Dillian Whyte. He has the better feet. And depending on how, because I can't really recall Dillian Whyte being in there with a southpaw. Because I don't think Oscar Rivas is a southpaw. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's a southpaw. No southpaw comes to mind that Dillian Whyte has faced. And when you look at the likes of Otto Wallin, who's a southpaw, just the things that he was able to do in that ring, like establish lead foot dominance, lead foot positioning. And, he did that. That was smart. You dig? That showed boxing IQ right there. It showed IQ. He found success with it, man. He was landing the left straight down the pike at will. Now, granted, the fight wasn't a controversial win in favor of Tyson Fury, even though most people agree that if that's anybody else would have gashed that bad on their eye, the fight gets stopped. Ooh, good shit, David, good shit. But if that's Tyson Fury, if that's not Tyson Fury, the fight possibly gets stopped. And the fact that he was able to close that distance and clip him with those left hands with those left hands and open up a gash over his eye, you have to think, if that's Dillian Whyte, that's, now granted, the trajectory of that left hand is coming from it's coming from different angles between the two of them, because Otto Wallin's a southpaw, Dillian Whyte's orthodox. But Dillian Whyte's, Dillian Whyte's left hook is, that's his lead hand. He'll have depending on what stance Fury is going to be fighting out of, is going to land a lot more effectively, because that's his, that's Dillian Whyte's lead hand. If he's fighting out of if he's fighting in a conventional stance, then yeah, that left hand is going to be there to be, it's going to be there. But it mixes shit up, because we're hearing that Tyson Fury he's fighting out of this, he's training southpaw, he's hitting the mitts out of the southpaw stance, he's shadow boxing out of the southpaw stance. So in the situation that he remains conventional, because I don't think he's going to go an entire fight out of the southpaw stance. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Because I don't think he's as fluid as a southpaw as the likes of a Terrence Crawford. I don't think that, man. I don't think that at all. So he'll give him different looks, but I think the majority of the fight is going to be fought in the conventional stance, and that's going to lead to success on behalf of Dillian Whyte. But the point is, if the likes of Otto Wallin was able to close distance like that and clip you to the point where it opened up a wide gaping gash on your eye, imagine what Dillian Whyte is going to do. And Otto Wallin isn't even known as a puncher like that. Dillian Whyte is a puncher, so it's a head scratcher between the two of them. Nonetheless, they both dominated the fight, and those were just glaring similarities between the two of them, as far as just like a mirror match, a quick mirror match that you can give between the two of them. You dig? I don't know. But as far as the fight in itself goes, man, like I said, man, White coming in at 250 and Fury coming in at 260. That's 10 pounds less, or 10 pounds more than what he was in the Wilder rematch, and 20 pounds less than he was in the Wilder trilogy. Because he didn't look spectacular to me in that trilogy at all. He didn't look great. He looked lethargic, and he looked like he was in there just imposing his will on a dude who was completely inadequate with dealing with the skill set that he was able to bring to the table. Any other heavyweight that's in there with Tyson Fury in that trilogy is the fight could possibly go in a whole different direction. But as far as Dillian Whyte is concerned, man, he has the ability to close the distance, because these are big dudes, man, and they hit like this. It only takes one shot in the heavyweight division, and with Dillian Whyte being the puncher that he is, I don't think it's going to be as hard for him to be able to close distance. It's just about what you do once you close distance. You know what I'm saying? Like, can is your punch placement going to be enough to deter that man and mute that man's offense? You dig? When you get in close, or do you have the strength to work out of those clinches when he gets to holding you and work on it, finagle your arms enough to where you can get that slight bit of leverage off, get a slight bit of leverage to get a short uppercut on the inside off. Can you do shit like that? I'm not sure. I think you could, because I think you're stronger than Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, I think his strength comes from a lot of just his size. I think Dillian Whyte is the more brolic dude. I think Dillian Whyte is actually in the gym hitting the weights. I don't see Tyson Fury hitting the weights like that, man. But and I'm looking at the size advantage between the two. I'm like, God damn, man, Tyson Fury real life might be 6'9". A lot of these niggas be capping about their height, man. Tyson Fury might legitimately be 6'9". He might legitimately be 6'9", man. But Dillian Whyte, I think, when you look at the likes of, Otto Wallin was able to force you to come forward because your back foot game wasn't really it really wasn't as effective in what you wanted it to be. So it forced you to switch your game plan and get on the front foot and become the aggressor. And if you got a dude like Otto Wallin who can do that, force you to do that, force you to come forward, because your back foot game isn't you're not as comfortable fighting off of the back foot in that particular fight, then I'm really conflicted as to what Dillian Whyte can do when he's in front of you. Yeah, the dude has a really good jab, man, and even Sugar said it. He's gotten a lot better with his feet. He's a lot more technically sound than we thought, man. He's a pretty good counter puncher, man. For him to drop Povetkin in the manner that he dropped him in the first fight, it was like, yo, I didn't expect this from Dillian Whyte. Like, bro, he's looking sharp in there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm a little apprehensive on where do I want to go? But then when you look at a cat like Tyson Fury, I think Tyson Fury knows who he's in front of. So I don't think he's gonna be as eager to get to accommodate you in your style. I don't think he's gonna be as eager to stay in the pocket with you and bang it out and want to be on the inside, roughing you up, clenching you up, pushing you all over the place. Because if he's in that position, he's giving you the opportunity also to get your shot off, your left hook upstairs, your left hook to the body, your rear uppercut. He's accommodating you to do that, and I don't think that's what he wants. I think he wants to win this fight. I don't think he's expecting a knockout because you're not, you're a lot more equipped to deal with what it is that he has to offer as opposed to Deontay Wilder wasn't. So I don't think he's going in here expecting a knockout. I think he's expecting a 12-round fight. And with that being said, he's gonna operate more. He's really gonna come out. I think he's gonna come out and establish his jab and really work off of his straight shots. I don't expect him to step in and shoot shine and none of that shit and sit down on those hooks and those uppercuts until the mid fight, and that's if he has enough respect that that he's demanded of you. So where he's just completely muted your offense. And he's taking the step in. He's stepping in behind the jab. He's stepping. All right, cool. I got him muted. He's standing at long range because he's thinking too much about how he wants to come in. I've gained the respect of him with the straight shot, so now I can take that step in and go to work. I don't expect him to do that until around about the 6th round. And because of that, I'm gonna bet smart, and I'm expecting Tyson Fury to win the fight. I don't want him to win. I want Dillian to win, but I'm gonna bet with my head, with my head, not my heart. And I think Tyson Fury is gonna come out victorious in this fight in a possible split decision victory. Yeah, I'm gonna say split decision. I'm gonna say split. I'm expecting knockdowns in this fight. I think Tyson Fury will hit the deck once. At very least, he's gonna hit the deck once, and I think it's gonna be a real entertaining fight, man. But I am gonna go with Tyson Fury in this matchup, man. I just think he has the more array of skills. Dillian Whyte only has one way to deal with you, and that's easier to deal with than fighting somebody who can fight inside out and punch on the go, and plant his feet and dig to the body, and sit down on those shots and really be savvy in the clinch, because Tyson Fury is savvy in the clinch. He'll hit you like he did that with Deontay Wilder and eventually depleted his energy. 1-2 wrap up. It was real Floyd like 1-2 wrap up, and he just lean on you. I don't think he'd have that type of success with leaning on him with Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte is heavier. He has a stronger, more solid base, so it's it's not gonna be as successful. But I think he's gonna wrap up with just to mute his offense. And for that, I think I'm going to go with Tyson Fury, unfortunately. But I'm hoping not Derek Chisora, but Dillian Whyte can pull a rabbit and force Fury into a firefight, force Fury to plant his feet and enter exchanges with him, and that leaves Dillian Whyte to capitalize on that. I'm really hoping that happens, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Dillian Whyte is going to find success, but it's going to be too far in between him and Tyson Fury's offense. So with that, I'm going with Tyson Fury. But Dillian, please pull a rabbit, bro. I'm pulling for you. I hope you get this shit. I want you to be the champ. I do. I really want Dillian Whyte to be the champ, man. So yeah. I would like to see Dillian Whyte in there with a Anthony Joshua again, or even a Usyk. So please win this fight. Please pull a rabbit and prove me wrong, man. I'm going back to watching these fights, man. Shit is pretty entertaining so far, man. So I'm out, man. Deuces.